Picture this. You walk into your office on a Monday morning and your boss hands you a measuring tape. Not for the furniture, for your stomach. Welcome to corporate Japan, where your waistline is literally a taxable event. Or imagine getting fined by the government because you forgot to smile while stamping someone's paperwork. That's not a dystopian novel. That's Tuesday in the Philippines. The modern workplace is supposed to be about productivity, innovation, and collaboration. But somewhere along the way, someone decided that regulating bathroom time, mandatory crying sessions, and banning the color brown were essential to running a successful business. Today, we're exposing 50 of the most bizarre, infuriating, and genuinely unbelievable workplace rules that actually exist on this planet. From laws that protect your goldfish's social life to regulations that turn your lunch break into a criminal offense, this is a global tour of occupational insanity. Grab your coffee, because you're about to feel a lot better about your own job. Rule number 1. In Japan, your belly isn't just your business. It's a matter of national economic policy. Since 2008, the infamous Metabo Law has required all companies and local governments to measure the waistlines of employees between the ages of 40 and 74. During mandatory annual health checkups, if a male employee exceeds 33.5 inches around the middle or a female exceeds 35.4 inches, the company faces significant financial penalties from the government. This isn't a wellness suggestion. It's a law with real consequences. Your manager isn't just tracking your quarterly targets anymore. They're tracking your quarterly calories. It transforms every office birthday cake into a potential liability and every lunch meeting into a silent judgment session. In the Japanese corporate world, your body mass index has become as important as your key performance indicators. Forget climbing the corporate ladder. First, you need to fit through the door. Rule number 2. Sweden takes its animal welfare so seriously that your office dog has more legal protections than you might have in other countries. Swedish law explicitly states that dogs cannot be left alone for more than 6 hours at a time. This means employers are essentially legally obligated to allow pet breaks, dog-friendly offices, or flexible schedules for pet owners. Walk into any Stockholm tech startup and you'll find golden retrievers attending meetings, huskies napping under desks, and terriers with better work-life balance than their human colleagues. It's a country where your cubemate might have 4 legs and a better benefits package than you. The law has turned the casual bring your dog to work day into a year-round compliance requirement. In Sweden, neglecting your pet's social needs isn't just frowned upon. It's a finable offense that your HR department actually has to worry about. Rule number 3. Calling in sick in some Chinese companies has evolved into a full surveillance operation. Forget the simple doctor's note your parents used to forge. Modern Chinese employers have started demanding live location selfies from employees claiming illness. You're expected to send a real-time photograph of yourself looking appropriately miserable, geotagged from your bed or a hospital waiting room, to prove you aren't secretly enjoying a beach day. Some companies have even implemented video check-ins where managers can see your feverish face in real time. It's a level of digital monitoring that transforms your bedroom into a satellite office the moment you develop a cough. In an era of Photoshop and AI filters, apparently the only way to trust an employee is to see the bags under their eyes in high definition. The question is, does your employer really need to see you in your pajamas to believe you have the flu? Rule number 4. France treats lunch with the same reverence that other countries reserve for national holidays. Until recently, the French Labor Code made it technically illegal for employees to eat at their desks. Article R42 8-19 explicitly prohibited the consumption of meals in work premises, designed to ensure that workers actually took a proper break, left the building, and socialized like civilized human beings. The sad desk salad that Americans consider a sign of dedication is viewed in France as a tragic failure of lifestyle and a minor violation of labor law. While the pandemic temporarily relaxed enforcement, the cultural DNA remains strong. French workers are culturally programmed to believe that eating a soggy sandwich over your keyboard isn't just depressing, it's practically a crime against gastronomy. It's the only country where being a workaholic is a literal offense against lunch. Rule number 5. In the gleaming luxury boutiques of Milan's fashion district, some managers enforce a rule that sounds like it belongs in a dessert survival manual. Employees are strictly forbidden from carrying water bottles or drinking any beverages on the sales floor. If you need hydration, you must formally request a break and retreat to a back room like a dehydrated vampire, hiding from sunlight. The reasoning behind this bizarre policy is purely aesthetic. The sight of a plastic water bottle apparently disrupts the immaculate luxury atmosphere that billionaire customers expect while browsing for $1,000 shoes. It's a rule that prioritizes visual perfection over basic human biology, transforming a simple sip of water into a logistical obstacle course. These employees aren't just sales associates. They're human mannequins expected to look flawless while their kidneys slowly file a complaint. Have you ever worked somewhere with an absurd unwritten rule? What's the strangest policy you've had to follow just to keep your job? Rule number 6. London taxi drivers are technically living in a legal time warp that predates the automobile itself. An ancient, never repealed law requires all licensed hackney carriage drivers to carry a bale of hay and a sack of oats in their vehicle at all times. The original purpose was obvious: feed the horse. But since horses haven't powered London cabs for over a century, modern black cab drivers exist in a bizarre legal gray zone. While no one is actively enforcing this rule or arresting drivers for lacking livestock supplies, it remains technically on the books. It's a hilarious reminder that legal systems often move at the speed of a horse-drawn carriage, while the rest of society races ahead in electric vehicles. Somewhere in London, a lawyer is probably still billing hours to figure out if a Tesla counts as a horse. Rule number 7. In certain small Spanish towns, the afternoon nap isn't just a cultural tradition. It's legally mandated quiet time. The town of Ador, for example, has codified the siesta into actual municipal law. Between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., the mayor mandates complete silence throughout the town. No construction noise, no loud music, no business meetings, no stress. Everything shuts down so the workforce can recharge their batteries like human smartphones. It's government-enforced nap time that makes the American hustle culture look like a collective anxiety disorder, while the rest of the world celebrates grinding and burnout as badges of honor. These Spanish towns have decided that productivity peaks after a nice 3-hour break. Why are we celebrating exhaustion when we could be celebrating legally protected afternoon siestas? Rule number 8. The United Arab Emirates has workplace communication rules that would terrify anyone who has ever vented frustration in a group chat. Swearing in the workplace, using profanity in professional emails, or even sending a rude emoji in a company WhatsApp group is a criminal offense. We're not talking about a warning from HR. We're talking about massive fines, potential deportation, and even jail time for serious offenses. In Western offices, dropping an expletive during a stressful meeting might earn you a disapproving glance. In Dubai, it might earn you a one-way ticket out of the country and a criminal record. It gives an entirely new meaning to the phrase professional communication. Every message you send carries the weight of potential legal consequences. Autocorrect isn't just embarrassing here, it's potentially life-altering. Rule number 9. Belgium has figured out a way to literally pay you for being healthy. Employers can offer a completely tax-free bicycle allowance for every kilometer an employee commutes to work on 2 wheels. You're essentially receiving a government-sanctioned raise for avoiding public transportation, reducing traffic congestion, and building your leg muscles. It's one of the rare workplace policies that feels less like corporate control and more like a genuine bribe to keep you from becoming a sedentary office drone. With chronic back problems, the more you pedal, the more you earn. It transforms your morning commute from a frustrating necessity into a profitable fitness routine. Would a few extra euros per kilometer be enough to convince you to trade your car keys for a bicycle helmet? Rule number 10. Swedish coffee culture has evolved into something that borders on workplace religion. Fika isn't just a coffee break in Swedish offices. It's a non-negotiable social institution with the weight of an unwritten law. Twice a day, at precisely scheduled times, everyone from the CEO to the newest intern must stop whatever they're doing, sit down together, and consume coffee with pastries. Skipping Fika to finish a project or get ahead of your workload is viewed with deep suspicion and considered culturally offensive. It's the ultimate antidote to corporate isolation, forcing human connection through the sacred ritual of caffeine and cinnamon buns. In Sweden, being antisocial at work isn't just lonely. It's practically a fireable offense against the national character. The coffee break has become compulsory community time. If your workplace mandated to daily coffee breaks with everyone, would productivity improve, or would you just consume dangerous amounts of caffeine? Rule number 11. In the pressure cooker tech hubs of China, falling asleep at your desk isn't a sign of laziness. It's practically a job requirement and a survival mechanism. During the infamous 996 work culture, which means 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week, companies actively encourage employees to bring pillows, blankets, and folding beds into the office. Between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m., the fluorescent lights dim, keyboards fall silent, and entire office floors transform into giant corporate dormitories. Hundreds of software engineers drift off to dreamland, while their managers snore just a few desks away. It's a surreal scene that looks like a slumber party organized by an HR department. The companies have essentially acknowledged that if they're going to work you to the edge of human endurance, the least they can do is provide the mattress for your collapse. Rule number 12. Portugal decided that the always-on work culture was literally making people sick. So they passed a law that makes it illegal for your boss to contact you after hours. If your manager sends you a text on Saturday asking for a quick update, the company can face substantial fines. The law treats your personal time as a sacred, legally protected zone that employers cannot violate without financial consequences. This transforms every after-hours notification into a potential lawsuit waiting to happen. It's one of the few places on earth where ignoring your boss's weekend messages isn't just satisfying, it's your civic duty and a legally protected right. While the rest of the world is chained to their smartphones, Portuguese workers can actually watch their notifications pile up without guilt or fear. Rule number 13. Norway has taken workplace transparency to a level that would make most people deeply uncomfortable. Everyone's salary and tax returns are a matter of public record, accessible to anyone with an internet connection. You can literally look up exactly how much your boss earns, what your neighbor makes, and whether your annoying coworker is actually getting paid more than you. This radical transparency is designed to ensure pay equity, prevent corruption, and eliminate secret salary negotiations. But it also transforms every office coffee break into a silent game of mental mathematics and comparison. Is the awkwardness of everyone knowing your exact bank balance worth the guarantee that you aren't being systematically underpaid, or is some financial information simply better left in a locked drawer? Rule number 14. If you appreciate casual Fridays and personal expression, certain elite law firms in the City of London will crush your dreams with Victorian efficiency. There exists a strictly enforced, albeit unwritten, rule known as no brown in town. It dictates that any serious professional should never wear brown shoes with a business suit. Within the city limits, only black footwear is acceptable for proper commerce. Wearing brown shoes is interpreted as a signal that you're a country amateur who doesn't understand the profound gravitas of high finance. It's a level of sartorial snobbery that proves, even in our supposedly modern era, your entire career trajectory can be influenced by the color of your leather accessories. Your spreadsheet skills matter less than your shoe selection. Rule number 15. Japan has transformed vacation guilt into an elaborate gift-giving obligation with genuine social consequences. The concept of omiyage requires that if you take time off work, you must return with beautifully packaged local snacks for your entire department. These can't be generic treats picked up at an airport. They must be famous delicacies specifically from the region you visited, wrapped with appropriate elegance. Forget this souvenir tax, and you'll be perceived as selfish, disrespectful, and possibly not a team player. It transforms every relaxing holiday into a high-pressure shopping mission, where you're terrified of returning with the wrong regional rice crackers. Your vacation isn't truly over until every colleague has received their obligatory gift, and your reputation remains intact. Rule number 16. India's Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act creates a bureaucratic universe where even your hairstyle can become a matter of legal compliance. Any industrial establishment with more than 100 employees must formally define extremely specific conditions of employment, including detailed rules about personal appearance, uniform requirements, and definitions of misconduct. This has resulted in some remarkably detailed regulations about acceptable hair length, mustache styles, and exact uniform specifications. A stray lock of hair isn't just a personal choice. It's a potential violation of a government-mandated standing order that could technically result in disciplinary action. It's the ultimate form of standardized labor, where your very appearance becomes a legal filing subject to official review. Has your workplace ever tried to control how you look? Where do you draw the line between professional standards and personal freedom? Rule number 17. Italy made global headlines with a court ruling that essentially elevated pets to family member status in the workplace. A Rome court decided that an employee was entitled to paid time off to care for her sick dog, reasoning that the animal's health constituted a significant family matter. Deserving legal protection, the court explicitly stated that a dog isn't mere property, but a dependent family member whose welfare matters under labor law. It's the ultimate good boy legislation, transforming Italy into a paradise for pet owners and a logistical nightmare for employers who assumed family leave only applied to humans. Your golden retriever now has more legal standing than your apartment's houseplants. Rule number 18. Brazil has a physical documentation system that makes a simple HR file look like a classified government dossier. Every worker must possess a carteira de trabalho, a literal blue booklet that records every single job you've ever held, your complete salary history, vacation dates, and employment status. Employers are legally required to sign and update this book within 48 hours of hiring anyone. Without this physical booklet, you essentially don't exist in the eyes of the Brazilian Labor Ministry and cannot legally work. It's a nostalgic paper-based relic in an increasingly digital world, transforming your entire professional identity into a passport that requires constant official stamping. Lose this book and you lose your employment history. Rule number 19. France's labor laws contain a masterpiece of cultural preservation. That sounds like a contradiction until you understand the French soul. The labor code strictly forbids alcohol in the workplace, but with 4 very specific exceptions carved out like fine art: wine, beer, cider, and perry. Your boss cannot keep a bottle of whiskey in the desk drawer, but a glass of Chardonnay with lunch in the company canteen is perfectly legal and culturally expected. It's a law that acknowledges the serious business of work while refusing to let it interfere. With centuries of wine tradition, the French have essentially legislated that certain alcoholic beverages aren't really alcohol. They're cultural heritage. If your office canteen offered a legal wine selection, would your afternoon productivity improve or would your emails become significantly more creative? Rule number 20. South Korea has transformed the job application process into something resembling a beauty pageant with spreadsheets. Unlike Western countries where resume photos are actively discouraged to prevent bias, Korean employers expect high-quality professional headshots as a standard requirement. This expectation has spawned an entire industry of photoplastic surgery, where professional photographers use extreme digital editing to sharpen jawlines, enlarge eyes, and transform applicants into idealized versions of themselves. Your Excel proficiency becomes secondary to how well your face photographs. It's a system where your ability to perform a job is evaluated alongside your bone structure. If your resume needs a filter before it gets a call back, is the company hiring a worker or casting a model? Rule number 21. If you've ever visited a Disney theme park anywhere in the world, you might have noticed something unusual about how employees, who are always called cast members, point at things. They never use a single finger. Every direction is given with 2 fingers extended or with the entire open palm. This isn't random politeness. It's a strictly enforced corporate rule known throughout the company as the Disney point. The reasoning is cultural sensitivity. In several cultures around the world, pointing with 1 finger is considered incredibly rude or even offensive. Disney, in its obsessive quest for global inoffensiveness, bans single finger pointing entirely across all operations. It's a fascinating example of how a private corporation can literally reprogram your basic motor functions to protect brand perception. Work there long enough, and you'll find yourself gesturing like a friendly wizard for the rest of your life. Rule number 22. In the city of Mulek, Island in the Philippines. Providing service with a smile isn't a customer service suggestion. It's actual municipal law enforceable with fines. The mayor implemented a mandatory smile policy for all government employees to combat the soul-crushing bureaucracy and unfriendly service often found in public administration. If you're caught looking miserable, grumpy, or even just neutral while processing someone's building permit, you could face suspension or financial penalties. It's a fascinating attempt to legislate human happiness, essentially forcing employees to mask whatever existential dread they're experiencing with a mandatory cheerful expression. Your inner despair must remain invisible while your outer face maintains a government-approved grin. Talk about the ultimate fake it till you make it career path. If your employer could legally require you to smile all day, would you comply or would your face file a formal complaint? Rule number 23. Australia has a tax rule that effectively assassinates office pizza parties. With bureaucratic precision, the fringe benefits tax means that if an employer provides entertainment like food and drinks to employees on business premises, it can be taxed at a staggering 47%. However, if the food qualifies as light refreshment consumed while actively working, it might be exempt from this crushing levy. This creates an absurd corporate dance where managers must prove that everyone was genuinely typing and working while eating their pepperoni slice to avoid a massive tax bill. It transforms a simple thank you lunch into a high-stakes documentation exercise about exactly how productive everyone was while chewing. The office celebration has become an audit waiting to happen. Rule number 24. In 2022, Spain introduced an energy-saving measure that transformed office workers into slow-roasting professionals. The government mandated that air conditioning in workplaces cannot be set lower than 27 degrees Celsius, which is about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. If you've ever tried to be innovative, strategic, and synergistic while a bead of sweat slowly crawls down your spine, you understand the insanity of this regulation. It's a rule that prioritizes national power grid stability over the sanity of anyone wearing formal business attire in July. While the environmental intentions are understandable, the execution means millions of workers are essentially being slow-cooked in their own offices. During summer months, at what temperature does saving the planet become actively punishing the people who pay taxes? Rule number 25. Walk into any high-tech server room or modern office in Taiwan, and you'll likely encounter a peculiar sight: bags of green kwai kwai corn snacks, carefully placed on top of computer servers, networking equipment, and critical machinery. These snacks aren't for the IT staff. They're for the computers themselves. A deeply held corporate superstition maintains that these specific green bags keep machines running smoothly and prevent technical errors. The rules surrounding this practice are strict. Never eat the IT snacks. Never use yellow bags, which signal slowdowns. Never use red bags, which invite malfunctions. It's a beautiful collision of 21st century technology and ancient-style offerings to the silicon gods, proving that even the most advanced tech workers haven't completely abandoned ritual sacrifice. Rule number 26. South Korea has a corporate drinking culture so entrenched that it functions almost like an unwritten law with career consequences. Hosik is the practice of mandatory after-work drinking sessions with your boss and colleagues that can extend well into the night. While not technically legislated, declining these invitations repeatedly can be a career-limiting move with serious professional consequences. You're expected to stay out late, consume significant alcohol, and absolutely never leave before the most senior person at the table decides the evening is over. It's a culture that completely blurs the line between team building and potential liver damage, often resulting in entire workforces showing up the next morning smelling like a distillery, but pretending nothing unusual happened. Would you accept a significant pay cut if it meant never having to drink with your boss again? Rule number 27. Across much of the American retail landscape, a war is being waged against the humble chair. Many establishments enforce a strict no-sitting policy that seems designed by someone who actively hates human comfort. Even if there are 0 customers in sight and every task has been completed, Employees are required to remain standing for their entire 8-hour shift. Managers often view sitting as a sign of laziness or low energy, regardless of whether actual work is being performed. This has led to millions of retail workers developing chronic back problems, leg pain, and foot conditions purely to maintain the optical illusion of productivity. It's an assault on basic ergonomics that serves no purpose whatsoever except reminding employees exactly who controls their hamstrings. Rule number 28. In many professional environments across the Middle East and parts of West Africa, your dominant hand carries significant cultural weight in business transactions. Using your left hand to pass a business card, sign a contract, shake hands, or exchange money is considered a profound insult. The left hand is traditionally associated with personal hygiene, and using it in professional contexts signals disrespect regardless of your intentions. This cultural rule forces left-handed expatriates to become suddenly ambidextrous overnight, learning to conduct all business with their non-dominant hand. To avoid accidentally destroying million-dollar deals with what seems like a simple handshake, your natural handedness becomes a liability requiring active compensation. Is the right to sit down at work a fundamental human need, or should employers get to decide when your legs get a break? Rule number 29. Japan has developed a workplace sleeping culture that seems paradoxical until you understand the brutal context. In Amiri is the practice of sleeping while physically present, and in many Japanese offices, falling asleep at your desk might actually impress your supervisor rather than concern them. It's interpreted as evidence that you've worked yourself to the absolute limit of human endurance for the company's benefit. There are even unspoken social rules about how to do it correctly. You should remain upright, appear to have simply collapsed from dedication, and seem ready to resume work instantly. It's the only professional environment on earth where a mid-afternoon drool session on your keyboard might earn you respect, rather than a performance improvement plan. Rule number 30. In the hyper-optimized world of warehouse, logistics, and delivery services, bathroom breaks have become data points in an efficiency algorithm. Some major companies use wearable devices, GPS tracking, and smartphone apps to monitor worker locations every single second of their shift. If you deviate from your optimized route to use the restroom, the system automatically flags it as time off task, potentially affecting your performance metrics and job security. This technological surveillance has led to the genuinely depressing phenomenon of workers carrying bottles in their vehicles to avoid the penalty of biological necessity. It's a rule that has replaced human physiology with mathematical efficiency, proving that in our modern economy, your bladder is just another variable to be optimized. Rule number 31. In 2017, the Philippines became the first country in Asia to officially ban employers from requiring female workers to wear high heels as a condition of employment. Anyone who has attempted an 8-hour retail shift in 4-inch stilettos understands the significance of this legislation. The law explicitly states that workplace footwear must be practical and comfortable, and companies can no longer mandate heels for purely aesthetic or traditional reasons. It's a rare victory for podiatry over corporate vanity, finally acknowledging that a salesperson's ability to sell appliances has absolutely no connection to the steepness of their foot arch. Your professional competence is not measured in heel height. Rule number 32. Every morning at precisely 6:30 a.m., millions of Japanese workers participate in a synchronized ritual called Ragio Taiso, or radio calisthenics. This isn't confined to schools or military facilities. Many construction sites, factories, and traditional corporate offices broadcast the famous music over loudspeakers, and everyone from the site supervisor to the newest employee performs the exact same choreographed stretches in perfect unison. It's a surreal sight that looks like a massive flash mob, organized by an enthusiastic physical education teacher. The exercises are light and only last about 3 minutes, but the cultural pressure to participate is heavy. Does your morning routine involve triple espresso, or could you handle synchronized arm swinging with your CEO every single day? Rule number 33. If you've ever suffered in a windowless cubicle that felt more like a concrete bunker than an office, you'll appreciate German labor law's commitment to human well-being. It is technically illegal in Germany to construct an office without providing workers a view of the outside world. Employees have a legal right to natural light and a visual connection to the external environment. This sounds remarkably humane until you realize it means managers cannot simply exile problematic employees to dark basement corners as punishment. German workers are legally entitled to know whether the sun exists, which is more protection than many workers in other countries receive. Does your current workspace feel like a prison cell, or do you actually get to see the sky once in a while? Rule number 34. In Finland, the most important business negotiations don't happen in sterile boardrooms with PowerPoint presentations. They happen in saunas, usually with everyone completely naked. If you receive an invitation to a Finnish sauna meeting, declining is not really an option without causing serious offense. The cultural belief is that being naked together eliminates pretense and creates genuine transparency. It's remarkably difficult to hide a secret agenda or maintain corporate facades when you literally have no pockets. Finnish business culture has decided that the ultimate trust-building exercise involves maximum physical vulnerability. Would you be willing to negotiate a major contract wearing nothing but steam? Or does your professional boundary involve significantly more clothing? Would you close a business deal completely naked? Or is that where you draw the line on corporate bonding? Rule number 35. The Netherlands has constructed a sick leave system that sounds like an impossible fantasy to workers in most other countries. Dutch employers are legally required to pay sick employees at least 70% of their regular salary for up to 2 full years, not 2 weeks, not 2 months, 2 entire years of protected, paid illness leave. During this extended period, the company also has a legal reintegration duty, meaning they must actively work with the employee to find a role they can perform. It transforms the 1 week of unpaid sick leave, common in other countries, into something resembling medieval punishment by comparison. The Dutch system treats human beings as long-term investments rather than disposable batteries to be discarded when they malfunction. Rule number 36. While much of the developed world experiments with 4-day work weeks to improve productivity and worker well-being, Greece recently decided to travel in the completely opposite direction. In 2024, the Greek government introduced legislation allowing certain industries to implement a mandatory 6-day work week to address labor shortages. Employees working this expanded schedule receive a 40% pay increase for that 6th day, but it represents a shocking reversal of over a century of labor progress. It's a desperate economic measure that essentially tells the Greek workforce to enjoy their Sundays, because that's all the free time the government thinks they need. Progress apparently moves backwards sometimes. Rule number 37. In China, respecting your parents isn't merely a moral expectation. It's legally enforceable with potential lawsuits involved. The protection of the rights and interests of the elderly law mandates that adult children must visit their aging parents frequently. If you neglect this filial duty, your parents can actually take you to court. Furthermore, employers are legally required to provide home leave specifically for family visits, meaning your company could face legal complications if they refuse to give you time off to see your mother. It's a fascinating case of government attempting to legislate family values directly into corporate policy, proving that your boss isn't the only party who can make legal demands on your time. Rule number 38. Imagine receiving an entire extra month's salary every December, not as a bonus subject to corporate whims, but as a constitutional right guaranteed by national law. In Brazil, the 13th salary is exactly this. Every formally employed worker is legally entitled to a Christmas payment equal to 1 full month's wages, typically paid into installments. It's a massive government-mandated injection of cash into the economy every holiday season, and a regulation that makes the standard American office pizza party look like an insulting gesture. It's probably the only workplace law on earth that makes the Human Resources Department genuinely feel like Santa's workshop for a few weeks each year. Rule number 39. France pioneered the right to disconnect law, which formally prohibits companies with more than 50 employees from pressuring staff to check work emails or answer professional calls during their personal hours. The law recognizes that smartphones have created digital leashes, connecting workers to their jobs around the clock, leading to burnout, anxiety, and deteriorating mental health. French workers now have explicit legal standing to completely ignore that midnight urgent message from their supervisor without any fear of professional retaliation. It's legislation designed to protect the human brain from the endless grind of the smartphone era. Does the legal right to disconnect sound like genuine freedom to you? Or are you so addicted to your inbox that a silent phone gives you anxiety? Rule number 40. Germany treats employee privacy as something approaching a sacred right. With serious legal protections, there is a strict legal prohibition on most forms of workplace surveillance. Without very specific justification, employers are generally forbidden from using keyloggers to track typing, hidden cameras to monitor behavior, or GPS tracking on company vehicles unless there is documented suspicion of a serious crime. You aren't merely a human resource to be monitored and optimized. You're a citizen with fundamental privacy rights that persist even when you're on company time. It's a legal framework where the corporate surveillance eye is deliberately blinded, giving workers a level of autonomy that is becoming increasingly rare. In our data-obsessed modern economy. Rule number 41. Some Japanese companies have taken emotional wellness to a level that sounds like performance art rather than human resources policy. Ruikatsu sessions, or tear-seeking meetings, involve hiring professionally attractive men to lead office groups in communal crying exercises. The process typically involves watching intentionally heart-wrenching videos until employees begin weeping, at which point the professional crier walks around gently wiping away tears with silk handkerchiefs. The theory is that communal crying breaks down rigid corporate hierarchies and creates genuine emotional bonds between colleagues. It's a bizarre form of emotional management that transforms the office into a scheduled sobbing session. If you can't produce tears on demand, does that count as failing to meet workplace emotional expectations? How would you react if your company scheduled mandatory crying sessions as a team-building exercise? Rule number 42. Tech companies in Shenzhen, China have pushed bathroom monitoring to genuinely dystopian levels. By installing smart toilet seats in office restrooms, these sensor-equipped seats track precisely how long each employee occupies the stall and send real-time alerts to managers if anyone exceeds approximately 10 minutes. It's a technological invasion of the one physical space you might reasonably expect privacy, transforming a biological necessity into a timed performance metric. Every restroom visit becomes a high-stakes race against an algorithm that's judging your digestive efficiency. It's surveillance that has made your bathroom speed a key performance indicator reported directly to supervision. Rule number 43. Joining the prestigious Swiss Guard at the Vatican requires meeting qualifications that have remained essentially unchanged since the Renaissance. To even apply, candidates must be single, practicing Catholic, male, Swiss citizens, and at least 5 feet 8 inches tall. It's a job description that functions more like a historical reenactment casting call than a modern employment posting. You're not just accepting a security position, you're joining a 500-year-old military brotherhood that doubles as the world's most exclusive tourist attraction. Does being an inch below the height requirement truly impact your ability to protect the Pope? Or does the Vatican simply prefer its guards to form a uniformly imposing silhouette? Rule number 44. A major airline in India once implemented a strict weight and appearance policy that treated flight attendants more like fashion models than aviation safety professionals. Cabin crew were grounded or terminated if their body mass index strayed outside a narrow, aesthetically determined range. The airline attempted to justify this as a fuel-saving efficiency measure, arguing that lighter crews meant reduced aircraft weight. Courts eventually rejected this reasoning as obvious discrimination. It was a staggering example of corporate vanity disguised as operational necessity, where your ability to handle an actual aviation emergency was considered less relevant than your waistline and appearance. Rule number 45. Switzerland's remarkably comprehensive animal dignity laws extend social protection even to goldfish. Under Swiss law, social animals like fish and guinea pigs cannot legally be kept in isolation. If an office aquarium or pet store contains a single lonely fish, they can face fines for animal cruelty. While it's genuinely humane legislation, it creates a surreal legal reality where the lobby fish in your office have more government-protected social rights than human workers do in many other countries. In Switzerland, even goldfish are guaranteed companionship by law. It proves that at every level of the animal kingdom, the Swiss government believes nobody should have to be alone. Rule number 46. Many American states operate under at-will employment laws, which means employers can terminate workers for virtually any reason that isn't explicitly discriminatory or for no documented reason at all. This has led to employees losing their jobs for having the wrong political bumper sticker on their personal vehicle, for failing to enthusiastically like the CEO's vacation photos on social media, or for making completely legal personal choices outside of work hours. It creates a professional landscape where your entire career exists as a hostage to your manager's personal preferences and subjective judgments. Does that sound like a fair employment agreement, or does it more closely resemble a sophisticated form of workplace serfdom? Rule number 47. At certain ultra-luxury hotels in London, staff members were strictly forbidden from making direct eye contact with particularly high-profile guests. Employees received explicit instructions to look at the floor, study the walls, or gaze into the middle distance whenever these VVIPs walked past. The intention behind this bizarre rule was to inflate the guest's ego by ensuring they never had to acknowledge the humanity of the people serving them. It's a chilling glimpse into the world of extreme luxury, where the highest possible standard of service sometimes means complete self-erasure. Your job is to become invisible furniture that anticipates needs while maintaining zero human presence. If your job required you to never look at certain people, would you accept the paycheck or walk away from the dehumanization? Rule number 48. Mexico's NOMO 35 regulation makes employers legally liable for the psychosocial risks and stress levels experienced by their workers. If a work environment is officially deemed toxic, anxiety-inducing, or harmful to mental health, the company faces significant government fines. This well-intentioned law has led to some desperate responses, including managers scheduling mandatory fun sessions, forced happiness workshops, and required positivity training purely to satisfy government workplace inspectors. It's a fascinating attempt to legislate mental well-being into existence, but the question remains, can a supervisor truly cure your work-related stress? Or does the threat of federal mental health audits simply create an entirely new category of workplace anxiety? Rule number 49. In many traditional South Korean corporations, the hierarchy is so strictly maintained that you don't even address colleagues by their personal names. Instead, you must use their specific corporate rank followed by an appropriate honorific suffix in every single interaction. Imagine needing to say Senior Manager Second Class Kim every time you want to borrow a stapler from the person at the next desk. This creates a constant linguistic minefield where a single slip of the tongue can be interpreted as a declaration of disrespect or even insubordination. Some modern Korean startups are attempting to disrupt this by requiring everyone to adopt casual English names like Steve, Brad, or Alice to artificially flatten the hierarchy. Middle-aged executives are now seriously deliberating whether their new corporate identity should be Mike or possibly Dave. We've navigated 49 different circles of global workplace absurdity, and only one final rule remains. But before we reveal our closing exhibit, it's time for the ultimate verdict. In our careful assessment, the award for the single most unbelievably bizarre workplace rule from today's entire list goes to the Chinese smart toilet seats. They transform the most private human moment into a monitored, timed, algorithm-judged data point reported directly to your supervisor. It's the ultimate expression of surveillance capitalism, where even your biology becomes company property subject to optimization. Do you agree with this verdict, or did another rule deserve this dubious honor? Share your opinion in the comments below. And now, our final entry, rule number 50. In a government administrative office in South Africa, a senior official once implemented a formal no-whistling policy for the entire department. His reasoning was genuinely paranoid. He became convinced that employees were using whistling as a secret communication code to warn each other whenever he approached. In his mind, innocent people humming while they worked were actually conspirators signaling his rival, so colleagues could hide their slacking. Rather than addressing any actual performance issues, he chose to ban a harmless human habit entirely to prevent imaginary gossip networks. It's the perfect closing example of how workplace rules aren't always about productivity, efficiency, or even logic. Sometimes they're simply mirrors reflecting the deep insecurities, paranoid fears, and control obsessions of whoever happens to hold power at the top. And there it is, 50 exhibits from the a global museum of workplace insanity where your waistline, your smile, your tears, your bathroom timing, and even your goldfish's social life are considered legitimate corporate concerns. These rules prove something important about the modern professional world. It isn't purely about productivity, innovation, or creating value. It's often a performance stage for people with far too much power and far too little perspective. Somewhere in the gap between reasonable policy and bureaucratic madness lies the strange, fragile boundary between having a career and participating in a psychological experiment. We've seen mandatory crying, prohibited chairs, measured waists, and toilets that report to management. The question is no longer whether your workplace is normal. The question is exactly how bizarre your particular version of abnormal happens to be. If you could permanently erase one single rule from your own workplace starting tomorrow morning, which would be the first to go? Tell us about your own secret rebellion against workplace absurdity in the comments below. Hit subscribe so you don't miss our next journey through the wonderfully weird corners of human behavior. And remember, no matter how strange your job gets, somewhere out there, someone is timing your bathroom breaks with a smart toilet seat. Thanks for watching.